So before we get too far out in the weeds and we end up talking about, fudge or something, Doc, what is on your bucket list?
Bucket list. One of the places that I was planning on going this summer, but COVID-19 decided to throw a wrench into, was the Scottish Highlands in Loch Ness.
See, I would love to go there as well. I've actually been to Loch Ness.
Have you now?
I have. It was a...
Okay, let me give my interpretation.
Okay.
You remember when Chevy Chase goes to the Grand Canyon in Vacation?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of get that's Ravyn's experience at Loch Ness.
Proceed.
Okay.
Do you understand what that is? It's like he gets out, looks at the car, and goes,
that was
up and
great.
down a couple times, and gets the car.
Get in the car, let's go.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly how it went down. So I was on a bus tour, which is fabulous in a lot of ways. But the problem with a bus tour is you're sucked into their timeline.
Right.
And to me, Loch Ness was, we're going to get out and we're going to go stick our feet in the water and we're going to sit and we're going to have our camera and the monster's going to poke his head up after about an hour. Because it
always does.
It does. After about an hour, and I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to become famous because I got a picture of it. That's how it was going to go down. That's how it was planned out.
That's how I expected to go down for me.
Yeah, I thought it might take an hour or two, but I'll get that picture. No, it was like a photo op. They pull up, they're like, okay, everybody off the bus, take a picture, get back on, 10 minutes, we're out. I'm like, I can't find the Loch Ness Monster in 10 minutes.
Come on, you got to give me more than 10 minutes.
Exactly.
For me, it's not even, I don't know, I'm fairly open-minded, but an open-minded skeptic. I just love how myths and folklore evolve, and I would love to go and just hear the stories and see the pictures and kind of dive into how this myth came about.
Well, and as long as you're in Scotland, and I'm going to throw like you get a bonus bucket list today.
All right.
As long as you're in Scotland, you got to go to Edinburgh and go ghost hunt the vaults.
Ooh, the vaults.
The vaults.
Please.
And again, if we don't want to get too much into that because we'll do an episode on the vaults. We did one several years ago, but we'll revisit it because the vaults are cool.
And those crazy guys that would go dig up bodies.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that podcast, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Hare and somebody?
Burke and Hare. They're both
vaults and digging up bodies. Got it.
Body snatchers.
Can't wait.
Not the alien body snatchers. We keep trying to get into aliens on this podcast.
Or angels. We don't know.
Okay, so
There's that Starship song.
No. We got to come away from the aliens.
Isn't that?
You guys are
we
fired.
thought they were angels. Much to my surprise. They got into their starship and flew into the sky.
We've got openings for podcast hosts. I'm firing these two. Okay, so in our paranormal junk drawer, we're going to kind of come back from angels and go into a little bit more paranormal. So there is a freeway in Florida called the I-4. It's known as the Haunted Freeway. And every day, thousands of drivers are on their commute. And it's just an unassuming, it's called the Haunted Freeway, but it's just a freeway. If I hadn't told you about it, you'd be on it. You'd just be like, here we are, going to wherever we're going. But it's about a quarter-mile stretch in Sanford, Florida. And they say it's one of the most haunted highways in America. It's just a little bit north of Orlando, and it passes over a lake called Lake Monroe. Now, in this area in the 1970s, there's a real estate tycoon, and his name was Henry Sanford, and he marketed that whole southern shore of this lake to immigrants and citrus farmers that came in. And he's like, hey, come buy my land. And he actually sold about 640 acres to a group of German immigrants, and they founded St. Joseph's Catholic Colony in this area. And, it's the 1870s, and it's humid, and it's hot, and disease kind of ravaged everything, and everything was hard, and they just weren't really able to get a whole lot of success. And in 1887, they had a break of yellow fever that came through and just took out almost everybody. There were survivors. They buried their dead in the woods. They're like, okay, we're going to bury the people, and this didn't work. This is too hard. We're out. We're done. Over the years, the land changed hands. These people bought it, these people bought it. Eventually, it just became part of the city of Sanford. So the story of St. Joseph's became a local legend, and people talked about it. And it said that anyone who went and tampered with the graves had deadly consequences, which is pretty typical. You know, you don't go mess with graves; people come haunt you.
Desecrating
and
gravesites, generally a bad
Right.
idea.
You know, it's
I
just-
saw Poltergeist.
you know how that works.
Yeah, don't build on them, don't move them, don't do any of that
Right,
stuff.
yeah, and you hear a lot, you know, with Native American, you know, you mess with those, bad things happen. And some of the things, locals say that a farmer's house burned down after he removed the grave markers. A child was run over by a drunk driver after he dug around in the site of these burials. And they just had enough activity that would occur in this area that they called it the Field of the Dead. Okay, so we've got the Field of the Dead. Well, Florida said, we are going to build a freeway, and we think that we should just lay part of it in this area called the Field of the Dead, because that sounds awesome. Apparently,
Yeah.
they haven't seen Poltergeist.
Excellent idea.
So this field was sold to the state. They bought it. The graves were initially marked for relocation, but they were either forgotten or deemed unimportant and just paved over. They never relocated any of these graves. Not too long after this happened, Hurricane Donna came in. It unexpectedly kind of turned course towards Sanford, passed over these grave sites, and this was in September of 1960, and just left devastation, just like everywhere. Did you like that noise? Let me do it again.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it again. After that, they say that it was one of many strange occurrences just in that area. You know, just weird things happen. You know, there was no way that hurricane should have turned that way, but it did when it got there. So now, there's this freeway laid over this area, and drivers who take this I-4 over the Lake Monroe area, they've reported strange interference on their radios. Some have claimed to see apparitions on the road. Long-haul truckers claim that their CB radios will blast with static while driving over the stretch of highway. It's extremely prone to deadly car accidents and has gained a grim nickname of the I-4 Dead Zone.
Remind me never to apply for a job in Sanford, Florida.
Yeah, so
Not interested.
the I-4 Dead Zone. Sounds pretty
thanks.
creepy. So it says, whether or not you believe in the supernatural or not, you should use caution and look twice before changing lanes, because that's one of the causes of many deadly accidents. People think they see something and they change lanes really fast.
That sounds like sound advice anywhere you live,
Yep.
but
So
particularly in Sanford.
So the funny thing is, on this, when I was reading about it, there was a note before you go, and I'm just going to read this verbatim because I think it's kind of funny in a creepy way. It says, I-4 spans above the actual St. Joseph site, which is accessible off of US 17/92. The land is owned by the state, and it is not advisable to enter. The site can also be viewed by water on the St. Johns River. So know before you go. They literally tell you it is not advisable to drive that freeway.
Who posted this?
So don't.
It's like florida.gov or something. We got a problem. We got a haunted freeway, so don't get out of your car.
Yeah, there you go. Your paranormal junk drawer. We opened it and we found a haunted freeway.
There we go.
Very interesting.
Alrighty, so sooner than later, we mentioned this in the last podcast, but we would like to do a questions and answer podcast. We've done that a couple times since we've been doing this, and it's been a lot of fun to hear your questions and to be able to give you some answers. If you have any questions or even just comments you'd like us to kind of touch on, please send us an email at apps.wisps.contact@gmail.com, and that's apps with one P. aps.wisps.contact@gmail.com.
Very cool. And at last, get your Supernatural Hour swag at tpublic.com. The best and easiest way to do it is to go to advanceparanormal.com and hit the merchandise tag, and it'll link you right there and link you right to our stuff.
Yep, and I'm actually wearing my shirt today.
You are. I've got one
Just
also.
to be festive. Well, I might get a hoodie. It's cold. I'm kind of in a hoodie mood.
They've got some really neat merchandise there, and you can get Supernatural Hour logos and things on lots of different
And
stuff.
tons of stuff. And I went in and added a bunch of stuff because that's how I roll.
Mugs? You got mugs?
We got mugs.
I
I'm
want a
like,
mug.
you can have this on a mug. I want one. I
Heck
don't
yeah.
actually have one, but if you want it, it's there. Tapestries. You can get a tapestry.
What?
So
Tapestry.
That reminds me of Indiana Jones. Tapestries.
So go to advanceparanormal.com, hit the merchandise tab, and right to the Supernatural Hour page there so you can see the logos, and you can have different Supernatural logos, Hour logos put on different things.
Awesome. I hope you have a Merry Christmas / Happy Yule. Is it Happy Yule or Merry Yule or Joyous Yule?
Either or. So you can say Merry Yule, you can say Happy Yule. I'd say Happy Yule, but
Merry Christmas and Happy Yule.
Happy Yule.
We will chat.
Happy Yule.
We do
to
post
you.
again before New Year's, so you don't get New Year's greetings yet. That'll be next time.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Haunt on, my spooky friends.
We'll see you. Good night.
Good night.
It's an episode.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2020 by Advanced Paranormal Services.